Okay, good evening, everyone. We will get started in just a minute. We'll just let a few more folks join the meeting. We appreciate everyone coming this evening, likely many of you after work. And someone did ask already in our questions section if this will be recorded, and the recording has started. So we will share this with folks to provide to colleagues or friends later. Okay, and we'll start in about 30 seconds. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening for our Health and Safety Town Hall for WorldPride DC Parade and Festival Registrants. A few housekeeping things. This webinar in this town hall is designed specifically for those of you who are registered to participate in one of our marquee events, specifically the parade or the festival, and potentially a few folks that are involved with the block party. If you are planning to come to the general town hall for health and safety information for WorldPride DC, that event starts at 7:30. So again, this is just for folks who are either in the parade or setting up at the festival. So my name is Sahan Mirmini. I'm the Director of Operations for WorldPride DC and the Capital Pride Alliance. I see a lot of familiar names on the roster for this meeting, and I'm really grateful to see so many returning folks who have participated in our parade and festival in the past. I've worked with many of you in my role as sort of the back-end planner of some of these large-scale events. And there's a few of my colleagues on this call as well that some of you may recognize as well. We are grateful to have ASL interpretation on this call, so if you are in need of those services, just pin that screen and you'll be able to get a translation of this presentation. And then you're also going to notice there's a question and answer option on the top of your meeting screen. We will get to questions at the end of the presentation. So as many of you know, we have our annual events coming up. World Pride starts on May 17th with Trans Pride Weekend. The following weekend is Black Pride Weekend. And then the last weekend is sort of our final weekend of World Pride, where we will have our festival and parade. Our parade will be on Saturday, June 7th. It is now starting at 2 p.m. Some of you may have seen that update, so I just want to reiterate that. And then our festival this year is 2 days, so it's both on Saturday the 7th and June the 8th. For exhibitors, that time period is 12 to 7, both days. There will be an orientation for parade and festival participants that will be on May 21st. And it's scheduled right now for 6:30. we will be sending out an invite to that meeting in the next few days. So please save any sort of logistical questions for then. The purpose of this meeting is really just to dive into all the plans that we have in place to keep everyone safe, not only this year, but every year. So without any further ado, I want to pass the baton on to my friend and colleague, Linda Lindemood. She is our Director of Health, Safety, and Security for WorldPride DC and Capital Pride. And so in the next 45 minutes or so, Linda will be covering some of our general plans for these events, as well as some new initiatives that we're taking just to ensure that we're all having a fun, great, and safe 50th celebration of Pride in our nation's capital. So I will pass it on to you, Linda. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sahand. Again, Linda Lindemood with First Watch Strategies, Director of Health, Safety, and Security for Capital Pride Alliance and World Pride. Just thrilled to be here with everyone tonight. Great turnout. Thank you so much. And we're really looking forward to working with you on the big weekend. As many of you know, there's a lot of planning and coordination that go into just a general Pride. However, with World Pride, and we're talking about, a million plus people coming to our beautiful city to celebrate. And, we've got a lot of questions about, health and safety and things along those lines. But, I want to kind of talk a little bit about the planning and coordination as it pertains to something as large on the world stage as World Pride. For many folks, Washington, D.C., it hosts a ton of events, and it is, it's used to hosting critical or sensitive types of events in a very safe and secure manner. The city, Washington, D.C., is where tons of folks come to make their voices heard. Whatever they're trying to express, this is where they come to do it. So this is not something that the city takes lightly. It is also not anything that they're not familiar with. For the past 2 years, since we were awarded World Pride, Capital Pride Alliance and stakeholders have been working very closely with the Mayor's Special Event Task Group. They are the folks who coordinate any mass gatherings, anything that's in public space. We've been working with them arm in arm for the past 2 years to coordinate with not just the mayor's office, but all of the city agents that it's going to require to support an event such as World Pride. So we have the full support of the mayor's office. We work in collaboration with her office, as well as all of the local agencies, with our primary focus being the ensuring the health and safety, not only for our visitors, and it's for our residents as well, for our community. So the mayor's office really, truly, we have been working with them, and they have a top to bottom safety protocol in place that really it's very comparable to what we see with presidential inaugurations or Super Bowls or anything to that level. I mean, everything is considered and planned. Chris, you want to go ahead to the next slide? So DC Metropolitan Police Department, they work in tandem with a lot of agencies. You hear in Washington, D.C., there are, I can't even tell you how many law enforcement agencies and other government agencies that, that support this beautiful city. The DC's Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management work together with all of these agencies to make sure that we have all of the things in place that we need. Some of them are seen and some of them are not seen. For instance, traffic cams, or, folks that are in buildings looking at surveillance and things like that. So there's a ton of things that are in place. Um, we we have got the great honor of collaborating directly with all of these agencies. So the Capital Pride Alliance, not only will we participate in government agency planning and drills and exercises, but Capital Pride Alliance, we have our own um, event main operations center where we will host all of the government agencies in our operating center as well. So whether that is, there's no miscommunication or gaps because we are in both places and we're working together to solve problems and to ensure the safety of our residents and our visitors. We also, as I mentioned, we have a ton of other things that we're doing, like pre-event web surveillance of different areas. Um, we have advanced life support medical stations throughout all of our event footprints. We have roaming or roving medical teams, aerial surveillance. In some instances, if we needed to, anti-scale or barricades or barriers, um, should we need them. This year, we're a little different. We have a 2-day street festival, which is a much bigger lift, and we've actually taken some elevated steps to make sure not only are we securing the event for the actual event times, but we're also taking the time to ensure that we're protecting all of our participants' private, their property, and just making sure that it is safe and enjoyable by everyone. Capital Pride works very closely with MPD, and where they are not, we supplement that through some of our private security firms that we've actually hired to facilitate the events. One of the things that the government, DC government, has really encouraged is for folks for government announcements. You can opt in or sign up for DC alerts, whether it's traffic incidents or other things. If you go to alertdc.gov, and fill out your information, anytime they push out a public service announcement related to WorldPride or any of the other surrounding areas, maybe it's a traffic jam that tells you to stay away or take another route, these alerts will come to your phone. We also, like many other events that we do here in Washington, D.C., the inauguration and 4th of July fireworks and parades and festivals, there is a platform. It's called Nixle. It's a public service announcement platform. Many of you probably have already done this, where you text a tagline to 888-777. We currently have not been assigned our tag yet, but we will make sure that you have that. But this tag, excuse me, is specifically aligned to all things WorldPride. So if there is something going on in WorldPride that the public needs to know about, you will get these alerts. I highly encourage that. Once we get our tag assigned to us, we'll encourage you to go to that. As Sahan mentioned, today's presentation, we're just really going to do an event overview of what the festival looks like this year, WorldPride looks like this year on the big, really, it's actually 4 signature events. So the block party this year is going to be 1.5 days. It will be Friday night. We will have the beverage garden and everything set up from 5 to 10 p.m. and all of the local businesses on 17th Street will be operational, and we'll have some musical entertainment out there. And we will carry the party on into the next day, which is Saturday. The block party will open up at 12 p.m. and run till 10 p.m. Also on Saturday, it's a huge day for us. On Saturday, we also have the parade. You may have, as Sahan mentioned earlier, we were going to have an earlier parade, but it looks like we've shifted the time to a 2 p.m. start time. We have 8 p.m. here in case it's a little bit slower, but we anticipate that parade being done between 6:30, 7:30 p.m. And while all of that is happening, we have the 2-day street festival, which starts on Saturday, also at 12 noon and runs till 10 p.m. We have an extended footprint in the festival this year. In past years, our footprint ended at 7th Street and Pennsylvania Avenue. This year, because of all of the visitors and because of the excitement around WorldPride, we've extended our footprint now to 9th Street. So the street festival will run from 3rd Street all the way till 9th Street on Pennsylvania Avenue and parts of Constitution Avenue. And then finally on Sunday, we have our March and Rally that is going to take place beginning at the Lincoln Memorial. They have some lovely speakers that will be announced here shortly. Folks that are going to attend the March and Rally, they can start to congregate for the march right around 9 a.m. at the Lincoln. We will march to the Capitol, in front of the Capitol, not all the way up to the Capitol, but to the front of Capitol, 4th Street. We will transverse on the National Mall property. So from the Lincoln Reflecting Pool across the Washington Monument and onto the beautiful National Mall, where we will end at 4th Street for some closing remarks, and then folks can move into the festival. We do have coordination with the city of Washington, D.C., with D.C. Homeland Emergency Management Agency, where we will have that located near the event site, and all emergency response and coordination will happen from that location, in collaboration also with our main operations center that I mentioned earlier. We also have advanced life medical services. That is a fully staffed medical aid stations with doctors, nurses, EMTs. They have cots, they have IVs, they have all kinds of medical professionals in there and are prepared to handle the masses. I don't need to go really through all of those locations, but when you get to your sites, you will be acclimated. People will let you know where all of these medical aid stations are and what you should do. So I want to take a second real quick, and you guys have, and ladies, all you folks have heard this before. If you see something, say something. That is probably the most important takeaway that I can give to anyone. It's been a national campaign for years and years and years, but it works. And so when I take a few minutes on this particular slide, it's because it's important. So when we talk about if you see something, say something, it really truly is knowing your surroundings, knowing what the norm looks like in your surroundings. If where there's tents, where there's restrooms, pay attention to all of those things. So just, and a lot of times you'll hear people say, keep your head on a swivel. Just look around, pay attention to people's behaviors and things like that. Not that you have to go and do anything about it, but you'll notice something if it looks out of ordinary. So, for instance, I use this example all the time. We see people who are carrying around their backpacks, and especially down in the festival, down at the parade, it's an all-day event for folks. They get tired of holding on to their backpacks. They'll set it on the ground by their legs. What's not normal is when they take their backpack and go set it by a trash can and walk away and watch where the bag looks like at the trash can, and then they walk back over and they adjust it. Then they walk away again. That's not right. That is not normal. So one of those things that what I do typically is if I see somebody, and maybe it's innocent, maybe they don't want to carry their backpack into the restroom with them. If I see someone set their backpack down, I don't go over and touch their backpack or their bag or whatever it is, but I will go up to that person and say, sir or ma'am, is this your backpack? Please take it with you. Please do not leave it behind. It is not really up to us to determine whether something is suspicious or whether it's just unattended. So as we start to come together on site and we're working through things, if you see something that you see somebody, just leave a bag behind. I would say you go to the nearest staff member or volunteer or police officer or security person and say, there's a bag over here that somebody left behind. It's not up to you to look into that bag. It is not up to you to do anything with it but report it. And then we will go through the appropriate channels to make sure that either security or the local law enforcement go and inspect that bag. They are the only ones, the only people who can really determine a unattended package to a suspicious package. So that's super, super important when you use your terminology, especially those of you, if you happen to be on a radio or you're running over to tell somebody, please just make sure that you're very specific. Suspicious means a lot of things. It means that you're going to get the cavalry. It does, and if you say it's an unattended bag, it's a little bit different approach to things. So I say that because it's super, super important. We hear that a lot when people are going, there's a suspicious person or there's a suspicious bag, that we leave that to law enforcement. But we do tell you that if something doesn't look right, it probably isn't. Trust your gut. If there's a backpack with a bunch of wires hanging out of it, it could be a tech backpack, but it could not be. So that's when we're going to go ahead and get somebody involved as quickly as possible. If you see a person that seems to be acting out of the ordinary, maybe going up to people and looking in their bags or doing whatever it is, we don't want you to approach them, but we do want you to report them. So I say all of this because it goes right back to say something. And when you do see something like that, please try to really kind of hone in on the description of what you're looking at, what the bag looks like, what the person looks like, what she's wearing or he's wearing, what color, is it shorts, is it pants, is it striped shirts, do they have blonde hair, do they have a big bow in their hair, is there a ball cap, does it have a logo on it, all of those things. Super important. As much detail as you can provide us when we are trying to resolve a situation, the better off we're going to be and the safer we're going to keep folks. Again, I'm going to tell you, please, please, please do not approach anyone that looks, like they could be causing harm. The only difference would be is if somebody set their backpack down to go to the bathroom and you could say, hey, sir, is that your bag? Please take it with you. If they leave it and run away, that's a situation. Don't chase them. Do not try to tackle them. That's not your job. Again, call for assistance. But if it looks like it's a life-threatening situation, you can never go wrong with 911. We are tied to the city through our main operations center, as well as through all of our medical stations. If there is an emergency, we can get 911 quickly. We have a lot of resources already assigned to our events, and our response time is amazingly fast. If you don't have a radio, again, just if you see a staff member, please just ask them or a police officer to assist. Again, let the trained officers handle any kind of situation. And always, if you are around a situation and the law enforcement, or maybe there's a medical emergency or something that we don't want people crowded around. If you're in a safe situation and you can assist in keeping the area calm or clear, that's always something that we appreciate. But always take that direction from law enforcement. Sometimes they don't want you to help. So that's see something, say something. I spent a lot of time, again, it is so unbelievably important. You all are our eyes and ears, and you help us keep people safe. So I will move on from that. Maybe. Chris? There we go. Again, for emergency procedures, I could put a whole bunch of words on this paper here for you to see. Really, it's pretty simple. First, you just have to look at what's going on. If it looks like it's an emergency, take in the whole picture. Again, notice what people are wearing, do what needs to happen. Um, if there is an injury, because let's just say a float or a bicyclist crashed into some people as they were going down the parade route or whatever it could be, secure the scene. Try to help prevent any other future further injuries. Call 911 if it's an emergency, if it's life-threatening. Call 911. Super important. If you are trained and you know how to provide first aid while you're on scene until our medical staff can get to you or any of the law enforcement officers, please administer. It's a good Samaritan, and we need your help. And then again, remain on site if you can. In my mind, with us, there is no job more important than helping keep people safe, and that includes any of the jobs that you're assigned if you are working with us or volunteering. So please, please help our folks as much as you can. And then I put this slide in here because we get those questions a lot. Do I think that we have a threat for this? There's always threats for all kinds of things. There's inclement weather, there's bomb threats, there's all kinds of different things. However, this one is the one that is most prominent, and folks ask a lot of questions about this. But it also applies to other things other than active shooter. So it could be a vehicle ramming, or it could be a fight breaking out, or something along those lines. And for the most part, if there is a potential harm that could be happening around you, harm to yourselves or someone else, we always talk about the run, hide, or fight. That goes right along with see something, say something. If there's something bad going on, don't stick around. Don't rubberneck. Get out of the way. Find an escape route, and I will tell you that goes along with knowing your surroundings. I don't go into a restaurant or a store or anything without knowing where those exits are. So have an escape route. Make sure you are ready to go if you need to. And if it's in a dire emergency, please don't stop to get your wallet or whatever it is. Just run. Get to safety first. You can always recover those things later, if possible, because sometimes when people are rushing around and it gets a little bit confusing or chaotic, especially people that are a little disoriented and maybe not be as alert as you might be, please help them to safety as well. Take them along with you. And then if you are aware that there's something going on inside of a different footprint and you see people that are going into that footprint, tell them not to. Just yell at them, tell them to go away. There's something going on. And of course, call 911. Can't stress that enough. The hide, we see this all the time. Hide behind something, get behind a counter, get under a table, put yourself between, put something between you and the danger. And try to stay as calm as you can. Keeping yourself as calm, and it keeps your thoughts clear as opposed to when you're in panic mode. And then, last resort, we never encourage you to engage. But if your life is on the line, or other people's life is on the line, and you are between them and the danger, we tell you, go ahead and fight. Commit to your actions. If you're going to do it, do it. Use anything you can, broom handles, fire extinguishers, chairs, whichever. And then, do what you can to start the cycle again, running and hiding and fighting. So let's do whatever we can to stop this situation. We put in here a couple other things that we wanted to talk about. For lost child, in my mind, I don't like using the word child because there are times that we have adults that are in large crowds that may be hypersensitive to crowds or loud noises or anything like that, and they've gotten separated from their person. Um, I use the word child because that's what people say and they associate this program. But for the purposes of this call, let's call it lost person. If a person comes and reports themselves as I've been disconnected from my person, I can't find them anywhere, and they're panicked and they're upset, the first thing that we want to do is just take them to a medical tent. Our medical aid stations are equipped with trained doctors and nurses, and they are all certified to handle children and adults that might be having some type of a mental issue, if you will, or having some stress. At the medical aid station, they will take control of that situation. You can walk away at that point, and the medical folks in that tent will reach out, will make sure that MPD or the U.S. Park Police know that there is a child or a situation in that medical tent that might require their services. Very, very important for this is in Washington, D.C., and probably in most towns as well. It is very important for you to know that law enforcement are the only people who can reunify a child and an adult. If you find a child who self-reports as lost and you're walking them through the crowd and somebody runs over, daddy runs over, oh, Bobby, Bobby, Bobby. Well, daddy may not have custody of Bobby. If daddy is insisting that he has got Bobby, then daddy's going to understand for the safety of the child that we're still going to walk that child to a medical aid station where the law enforcement can ensure that that child is okay to release to daddy and they can go on their merry way. But please do not be that person who reunifies people that claim to know them. You just don't know what the custody is for that. For any lost and found items, any of those items that are found, whether that's in your booth or on the parade route or wherever it is, just turn them into our information tents that are located in all of our different areas. Or you can give them to one of our staff members who will do the same. They will return them into us. We collect all of our lost items, we catalog them, and we take them back to the Capital Pride Alliance office where people can contact them looking for their items, and those folks will be the ones that return lost items to their owners. Next. This is another area that we've gotten some questions on, and civil unrest or disturbance could be anything. It could be two people bumping into each other on a parade route and they get in a scruffle and there's something going on. Or it could be some folks that are trying to disrupt our event because maybe they don't agree with our message or are just angry about something. Again, I would tell you to keep your head on a swivel, know your surroundings, report any disturbances. If you hear loud chanting coming down the road that's not on the parade route or is in the festival grounds, sometimes it's completely innocent and just somebody's coming along and they're chanting and they're happy to be inside our footprint. That's great, but still report it just so we can have some eyes on it and make sure that we know what's going on. And then again, if there is a situation, you can tell the police department, you can tell a staff member, a volunteer. If you have a radio, you can call our main operations center on the radio, which are directly connected to 911. please give the most information that you can, any descriptions of them, if especially you feel unsafe, any descriptions you can give us, and in the direction that they're moving in, is of course very, very helpful. Again, we do not ever want you to confront or try to take the situation into your own hands. Please do not do that. Let MPD, U.S. Park Police, or our security firm handle those types of situations. Please know that we work closely with the city, and we already have plans that I really can't share with you at this point, but plans that we are exercising frequently with the city agencies that says, this is how we're going to handle this if this should arise. So we are already talking about contingency planning, and if a route got blocked or we had to reroute or something along those lines, we have plans in place. For the rest of the call, really, I just wanted to kind of walk you through a little bit about our maps and, our routes and some of the evacuation procedures that we would do if we had to evacuate the routes. So real quick, this is our parade route this year, very similar to last year. But you may remember that last year, our parade, when it came down to Pennsylvania Avenue, when it turned left onto Pennsylvania Avenue, it went all the way to 7th Street, where we turned the floats and the walkers and everybody down to 7th Street so they could enter into the dance party or the tea party. This year, because we've got an extended footprint, which you see in purple here, that is our festival. We are now ending the parade at 9th and Pennsylvania Avenue, where all of the floats and walkers will turn right on 9th Street, and then they will walk down 1 block to Constitution Avenue, where our floats will road ready to the right, heading towards 14th Street on Constitution Avenue, and our walkers, just like in this past year, will walk right into the festival should they choose to, or they can walk back to their neighborhoods or whatever they want to do. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide, Chris. So some of the security measures with the parade, we heard from folks loud and clear last year. There was some areas that folks felt like there was no crossovers and things like that. So this year, what we've done is, one, we once again have bike rack that runs our entire parade route. However, we do have dedicated crosswalks this year that will be indicated by 16-foot feather flags that say crosswalk. So you'll see them from a very far distance. So if you are walking in the parade or working and you need to get off the parade route, that is where you go. To those crosswalks. We will also have a Metropolitan Police Department as well as our traffic control officers out there to ensure that those crosswalks maintain open, and that folks can get a break if you have to jump off, go to the bathroom, use the restroom, or get some water or whatever you can. We also will have parade marshals. Once we get all of our volunteers, and I'm calling for volunteers, we'll have parade marshals posted all the way down the parade route. Primarily, they'll be located at the intersections, but they will have radios. So if you have a situation, you see something, you say something, they will have radios and they can communicate with our main operations center as well as our event operations teams. Go ahead, Chris. I'm going to go through these pretty quick, and I'm going to give you guys a general rule of thumb because we're running out of time, and I do want to be able to answer some questions. The answer is, if we have to evacuate the parade or the festival, the answer is you go, you follow the instructions of law enforcement, the parade marshals, or any of the operations teams. If they tell you we need to evacuate the area and you need to take shelter, you will go to the nearest public building that is open. Restaurants, hotels, wherever you can go to seek shelter, that's where you would go. Typically, we don't do that much unless we have extreme severe weather, like lightning or extreme winds or something that could be a threat to people. We typically don't evacuate. Or if there's some type of a real emergency where we have to evacuate a portion, we will give you those instructions. We will tell you where to go. We will make sure that you're not running into the emergency. So please know, the rule of thumb is go to the nearest public building to seek shelter. You can go ahead and go on the next one, Chris. This is the block party layout. This is the same as last year. It's on 17th Street between P Street and Riggs. We will have a beverage garden there. But as I mentioned earlier, it's just really going to be some musical entertainment, a couple booths, and the local bars and restaurants doing what they do. This is an open street festival. We tried last year to secure it with some bike racks and some other things, but it really doesn't lend itself to that. So we have security on site. MPD will be on site. We also have an operations team that's there. We have medical in that footprint, but we do not have fences around this particular event. And last but not, well, actually it's not last, but the footprint for the festival this year, because of a number of things. One, we have a 2-day festival, which is ideally almost a 2.5-day festival with all of their belongings and things that they're going to be giving out to folks during this wonderful celebration. So we have made the decision to fence in the entire footprint of the festival. That actually is it is really an advantage to us because we have some wonderful talent that is going to be there for the festival both on Saturday and Sunday, and we have some amazing vendors that are going to be out there exhibiting all of their wares. We want to make sure that it's not so saturated that people can't move. We have we have 9 different entry gates, and we will have metal detector type of devices that you walk through, or you would see them at any stadium. It's super fast, so we don't have long lines for people to come through, but they're looking for any type of weapons or heavy metal things. Not heavy metal music, but heavy metal items. Excuse me. That could be weapons. We also will sweep the area before each. Thank you. I like that laugh. We will sweep the area before we open the event with law enforcement, because once those grounds become secure, they're secure. We have dedicated exits and entrances that, again, we've elevated our sign package. It's going to be 16-foot feather flags that are going to say, this is the exit. So no matter what the light is, no matter where you are, you're going to be able to see where the exit is. You'll also be able to see where the restrooms are, medical, as well as the entry points. So that's a big deal for this year, and we hope that it's just such a pleasurable experience for everyone to get around. We will be monitoring the counts of the people that are inside the festival throughout the day. We count everybody that comes in, and we count everybody that goes out. So, and we'll be, again, working with the local HSEMA to make sure we're managing any of those incidents that should arise. Thank you. Whew, that was a lot of talking. One thing that I will say to you folks, and I say this quite often, I'm not here I don't want to scare anyone. What I want to make sure is that everybody is situationally aware of their surroundings, and that there's going to be issues and there's going to be incidents. And it's how we handle them and communicate them to one another that's going to help keep us safe throughout the celebration. So that is my stopping point.
Thank you, Linda. There's a few questions. Some of these I'm happy to answer, and then some I might bump to you and give you a little break. Thank you so much for all that information. So one of them is, can you speak to the safety protocols for overnight and the booths for Saturday night? Will there be security? What supplies can we leave overnight? So this is a great question. This is for exhibitors who are leaving items in their booth overnight. So at a considerable expense, we do have security overnight, and we are fencing in the booth area. So while the concert will continue to go on and some of the beverages will continue to go on, right around 7, the fences will essentially close on the stretch from Pennsylvania Avenue from around the 9th to 4th or so. And we will have security and staff to ensure that everyone's packing up and sort of getting out of there accordingly. If you do have, gold tiaras or diamonds or anything like that, I would not recommend leaving those, but you should be safe to leave most of your items. I do recommend getting at least a piece of a section of tarp to put over your table. That way we can help protect if there's any elements, but also that does deter in that process from folks, walking by those spaces. So we will have lots of folks there. You can rest assured that we will try our best to keep everything safe, but I do recommend at least just getting some sort of tarp to put over those items. And we can talk more about that during the orientation as well. There's also a question about radios and who gets those radios, and if folks in the parade get those. So the radios are intended just for our team and volunteers and security, but there will be plenty of those people along the route for you to stop and to send a message to. So Linda and her team have done plenty of tests to test the capacity of those radios, and we also have multiple types of radios. Some of them are on a totally different wavelength. So we do have ways to speak to folks from one end of the city to the other, because I know that there were some concerns about cell service. We are also working with cell providers to enhance some of the services in the city. That doesn't mean I can guarantee that everyone here will have great service. Anytime you have hundreds of thousands of people or 1 million people, things do get bogged down. But the most important thing is the health and safety agencies, the folks, the boots on the ground, all those people have access to speak to one another in the event of emergency. So always remember, you can come up to someone and ask for help or provide the information. Let's see, we will share this presentation. There's one comment that's, it's a concern about heat. The parade, and this is for the parade. So we do recommend bringing hats, packing lots of bottles of water. It usually takes, an hour and a half or so to, walk through the parade, but the staging piece on 15th Street is where you'll spend a lot of time waiting for that to start. We will have a cooling bus at the end of the parade route, and we will have some bottled water to supplement. If you do get overheated, there are first aid stations along the route, which are air conditioned, that you can take a step into. Let's see if there's any. Will vendors need special passes to enter ahead of the 12 p.m. public start time? Yes, so most vendors will be setting up very early on Saturday morning. The larger installations as early as 6 a.m. Some really, really large installations even before that, although those are not ones that we offer. But yes, early that morning is when folks will be coming in, and we'll give you a pass to get onto the grounds. Let's see here. And sorry, I apologize to the interpreters. I'm speaking a little fast. Linda, do you want to answer this? How will we recognize a public safety officer?
Sure. So one, with all of the law enforcement agencies, of course, those are the guys with the guns and the patches and the badges and all of the rest. But for our roaming safety folks that are moving around the parade route, the march, as well as the festival, they will have a polo shirt that has an emblem on the sleeve, but on the back of their shirt it says safety team. So you will be able to see them pretty clearly. I believe their shirts are white, but all you need to do is look at the back. You will know that they are part of our event safety team.
Thank you, Linda.
Mm-hmm.
How are our parade first aid stations marked? So they are typically in white tents. We do usually get those with some red stripes on it, but we will have what we call feather flags outside of those tents that are typically red, and it will say first aid clearly marked on there. So there's typically some cold water in there, as well as a place to be treated if needed as well. Is there an existing plan for Narcan or other overdose reversal agents distribution? And if not, would there be an issue for our organization to provide that at our booth? We do have a plan for all of that. There are resources that will be available in our first aid stations. You are able to provide that at your booth as long as it's in a sealed package direct from the manufacturer.
I might add also, not only do we have our medical stations, but we do have sensory locations at those medical aid stations. So if anybody gets overheat or just overstressed or something along those lines, we do have sensory locations. So if you just need to idle back for a few minutes, those medical aid stations will be able to accommodate.
Thank you. This is a really good one. With the current political climate and news advising transgender individuals to stay away, what talking points would you suggest we use to ease people with high concerns? This is a great question. Unfortunately, we don't have jurisdiction over TSA and how border control works. However, our surveillance has not picked up anything to indicate that folks would be turned away, but we do advise folks to travel, keeping many of these things in mind. So making sure that their documentation matches their ID. And so we'll be happy to send out resources for folks to use. The other important thing is knowing your rights and having those resources of what to do in the event that someone would be stopped. At this point, I know we went through a lot of important points today. Linda has been working with teams, and there's a lot of surveillance through different agencies, and so far we have luckily not have not heard anything to indicate that this event has been flagged. But that's a great question. We can certainly follow up with resources. With the festival being fenced, does that limit our ability to drive vehicles in on Saturday morning for setup? Same question for breakdown. The driving in piece won't be impacted. It will look different this year, especially with the extension to 9th Street. So we are trying to give folks a little more time with the additional booths that we have. But for folks that are, and there's another question about this as well, folks who are set up for the festival and finish at 7 o'clock on Sunday, we just have to be realistic. You're not getting out at 7 o'clock. So unless you park in one of the nearby garages and you used, wagons or carts to bring your items. If you have those wagons and carts, you can leave as soon as the event ends. Otherwise, it does take sometimes a few hours for cars to get back on the footprint, but we will do our best to sort of close up those gates. The big struggle is always just moving the folks out of those perimeters. There are some benefits of fencing the footprint, and that means that we control folks hopping onto the footprint from the sidewalks, and it does let us control. I know for some people who get aggravated, it helps us control unauthorized vendors from trying to get onto the footprint as well. Let's see if there's anything else, and I apologize if we've skipped over anything. When would we know where in the lineup we are for the parade? You will know that by May 21st. You'll get your color section then. Will there be a map for the parade crossover locations? Parade exit and re-entry, are they at every intersection or at strategic places? They are at strategic places. Did you want to speak on that, Linda?
Sure. We will have maps. We will go over that in the orientation for parade where those crossovers are. So you will have more visuals when we have a little bit more time with you on the specifics, the logistics specifics around the parade and assembly.
Okay, and what is the estimate of attendees for the festival? It's hard to say, but we are aiming for 1 million over the weekend. So that's our goal. For those of you who have been at the festival, it is a beast. And for those lucky few that have been able to view it from, the post office building or another high point, it's pretty incredible. So bring lots of items to give away. And honestly, the best items to give away may not be keychains. It may be water or sunscreen or other items like that folks can use and can also help keep them safe throughout the event. And people also love Tic Tacs because they don't like to have bad breath during Pride. So that's another tip for folks. Let's see if there's any other questions. We will be following up with, in addition to information about the orientation, we will follow up with some badges for you all to share on your social media. One basically says you're a proud participant of the parade, and the other is one that says you're a proud participant of the festival. And so it's really important, I think, for us to show the world and the community that we're all sticking together, and that we're really proud to be from Washington, D.C. and proud to host these events. So please look out for those as well. Trying to see. Let's see. Does anyone know? It says it looks like there are several upvotes on a question from Ace Page. Don't want it to be missed. Does anyone know what question that is? Christopher?
Yep, it says, are there restrictions for bags, backpacks that individuals can bring in to the festival booths?
Right. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say into the booths for vending. No, there is not. But our participants that are coming in through our magnetometers, they will, we have discouraged any types of bags. We know that they will be. It is a long day event, but no, large backpacks are not accepted. Coolers, suitcases, believe it or not, they bring suitcases because they want all of that cool gear to take back home. So anything like that is not, we want to keep the ground as free for people to move around, and so we don't accept any of those items.
This is probably a good one that had, oh, sorry. I was going to say this one also had a few upvotes that I think, Linda, we might want to just touch on. It revolves around your civil unrest. With a recent political climate, is there anything that we should be doing? Oh, actually, I think you actually already mentioned this one. Is there anything that we should do for anybody that's coming in that's challenging? Like a group of 10, 15 protesters coming in, something like that. What should anybody do?
The very
Oh.
first thing you need to do is one, more than likely, if they're coming in, we will know them before they come in, and we have First Amendment places where they can go and protest. Not inside our footprint. This is a private event, public event, but it is not going to be. It will be handled by our law enforcement officers, not any of us. But if it's on the parade route or anything like that, please just reach out to any volunteer or anybody with a radio or law enforcement, and then they will report. They'll coordinate with the unified command, and they will tell us how to respond to that, or how the law enforcement is going to respond to that. Please do not do any of that. Do not confront anybody, please.
And there were actually a few attempts to protest last year, and most folks didn't even realize it happened because the agencies were so swift and sort of squashing that. So and it's we never want to we never want to stop anyone from having the right to a First Amendment assembly. And so, as Linda mentioned, there's always a contingency and there's always a location where they can do that safely. But we have permitted all the streets and we've paid for it. So we do have a little bit of right of way with many of these things. And let's see, last questions. And I'm trying to see if there's any other. There was one about given that we will be coming off the parade, which can mean that we're carrying stuff. Can I assume that we won't be able to enter the festival with all of that stuff? Let's see. So we definitely would deter folks from coming in with like a giant paper mache rainbow or huge items like that. But if you have a few little things with you, that won't be an issue. You would just have to go through the detectors. We also one thing that we tried to cut down is waste, and so at the end of the parade there will be some dumpsters for folks to throw away items that they need to get rid of to get road ready. So the less amount of trash that we create, the better we will be off.
If I can, Sahan, we are part of the prohibited items in the footprint of the festival is no large signs or banners or anything like that coming in, especially ones with sticks or anything like that.
Right. But if you have like fans, like clock fans or things like that, you should be all fine. But yeah, certainly make a plan to have anyone who is in your contingent that does not want to go to the festival. You can get them stuck with all of your rubbish that you might not want to hold on to.
And actually, I thought of one other thing. Please do not bring weapons. Any weapons are prohibited in our footprint. And when our police officers will be going around with their canines, anything that they might hit on, please make sure you leave that at home or in your car. That is there is a no gun carrying law in Washington, D.C. So please, please, please leave all of that at home. Any weapons, weapon knives or things like that, box cutters, scissors, all that stuff is fine. But anything that would be considered a weapon, please do not bring that to the site.
Linda, there was a follow-up that just came in. Is it okay to bring in scissors?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, and so maybe I misunderstood. You are able to have, a balloon arch at your festival booth. You just need to make sure that it's not going into someone else's space. And then, but if it's like a really large parade balloon, those will have to sort of go with you at the end of the parade. But certainly you can have some balloons at the parade itself. I also want to note that you're not allowed to bring your own generators to the festival. So all of those need to be permitted through the city. If you do need to purchase electricity for your booth, you can reach out to us and we will take care of that for you. And I think that's about it. We have a health and safety town hall for the general public coming up in a few minutes. You are more than welcome to join that. It will be more of an overview on the celebration as a whole, and just some of the initiatives that the city is taking overall. But we appreciate everyone so much for coming to this meeting, and we will be sending you an email about our orientation in a few days on May 21st. Thank you for your support for this important event. Thank you for sticking with us through the thick and thin. It means more than you know. We have a lot of folks working really late nights and volunteering a lot of their time, so we appreciate you all being patient as well. But thank you so much. We will be sure to send out this meeting, and if there's any questions that we missed, we can try to answer those in the chat as well.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Stay safe. We'll see you on site.